Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Annalisa and this is going to be both the Popular Opinions book tag and the Unpopular Opinions book tag. I was tagged in the Popular Opinions book tag by Angela of Literature Science Alliance. She's a really sweet person and one of my best booktube friends. I'll leave her link below, as well as Abby Salter, the original creator of this tag, which was based on the Unpopular Opinions book tag. The first prompt is a popular book or series that you love, and there are a lot of these. I love The Lord of the Rings, I love the ACOTAR series, I love Jane Austen's work, and more recent popular books that I've really enjoyed have been Raybearer, Akata Warrior, Get a Life Chloe Brown, and A Song Below Water. Number 2, an underhyped book or series that you love and wish more people would read. I haven't seen a lot of people, even in the middle grade communities, talking about the Fairyland series that I really love. And there are also a lot of specific books with my type of rep that I only see in those circles and not in wider circles. So books like The Stranger, which has a lot of different LGBTQIA+ representation, including Ace, and also Seafoam and Silence, which has Ace and polyam rep, and then books with autistic representation such as A Kind of Spark and Please Don't Hug Me. Number 3, a romance, either a love triangle or a one true pairing that you love. And I really love the relationship in the In Death books by J.D. Robb. It is very sweet and it grows over time, and we get to see two very strong-willed people with a lot of background issues work with those out with each other and learn how to compromise, even though they've been used to very much running their own lives up until they decided to make a life together. And the way that they are so totally dedicated to each other, and the way that they communicate even though they have different love languages, and work through all of their differences and the particular similarities that they do have. I really enjoy all of that. Number 4, your favorite genre plus a genre that you would like to read more of. And my favorite genre is fantasy, and I would like to read more subgenres of fantasy, such as urban or modern fantasy, and also paranormal fantasy of various kinds, because there are some very cool werewolf and vampire and witchy stories out there that it's hard to get to past all of the paranormal romance that is less to my taste, and I would like to further explore that and find more of those. And up until the last couple of years, I thought I only enjoyed fantasy that was set in another world or in a usually medieval or Renaissance era world, but I actually have been enjoying a lot of modern fantasy in the last couple of years, and so I would like to keep exploring that and find more to love. Number 5, a popular or beloved character that you love, or a character you think deserves more love. I really adore the main character of Furthermore. It's this lady, and she is such a kind person and very self-sacrificial, and I love how she cares about people, and I love the relationship she has with her side character here. And I also really love her style that is all about lots of beautiful colors, and she has all these bangly bracelets, and I really love her talent, her multiple talents, because she loves to dance and she also has a magical talent, and I think she deserves all the love in the world. Number 6, an auto-buy author, and fortunately, I don't have to automatically buy all the In Death books because my mom does it, and I share a Kindle account with her, so I just read them along and don't have to pay any money. But she would be an auto-buy author. And then also Catherine Valente, who wrote the Fairyland series. I bought Space Opera not knowing a whole lot about it because I just knew it was written by her, and I really like her work and it's amazing. And she's got a couple more books in the work right now, so I'm planning on getting both of those. She's also very big into feminist theory and has a really funny and enjoyable Twitter account that I'll link below, where she talks about feminism and also her baby. 7, a popular book trope that you love reading about, and I really like friends to lovers. I really like arranged marriages, where both parties are at least begrudgingly consenting to it, but I really like arranged marriage when it's done to my specifications, and I also really enjoy bodyguard tropes, romances, or even just really strong relationships between someone and their bodyguard, and also found family. Very, very fond of that. Number 8, a popular book series you are excited to read, and I am thinking possibly about starting to read some of the things by Brandon Sanderson, and I'm not sure where I want to start. I'm considering a few different things, possibly Mistborn. I believe he also has some standalones that might be better to dip my toes into. But I'm considering it. I'm very wary because I know there's a lot of world building and there might be a lot of character death as well. So I'm like thinking about it. But most series I get into kind of accidentally just because the first book sounds really good and then I found out it's a series, or I hear of it and then start reading it fairly soon after that. Like Raybearer is the beginning of a series, but I didn't actually know that before I started reading it. I just saw that everybody really liked the first book and it sounded right up my alley, so now I have started another series, and that's just what's happening. Number 9, a popular book and film that you love in both formats. And I love The Lord of the Rings in both formats. I was first introduced to the film version, and I think that helps to be introduced that way, because that way when you read the book you get even more good stuff that you didn't know about, whereas if you read the book first, the movie cuts out a lot of stuff, so it's hard to enjoy it. But if you watch the movie first, you can fall in love with it and then feel like the book is even better. So like I really like Faramir, how he's done in the movie, because I didn't know he was done even better in the book. But I also really like the Hobbit movies, not because they represent the original book very well, because they don't at all, but I really like the direction it took, and that it made me give a care about Thorin's character, basically by having him be played by an actor I really liked, because I didn't give the slightest care about Thorin's character in the book. And also one of the things that people complain about is messed up the most, aside from there being a lady elf and also Legolas in there when they don't belong there, is that the final battle scene was messed up because all the different armies didn't come in at the right times that Tolkien designed very carefully, and I don't care about that at all. Not even a little bit. So, I really like both the movie and the book version, but I don't consider them like meshable. Like they exist in two different formats. Like I love retellings of the Beauty and the Beast story, but none of them mesh with each other. They can't be canonical with each other. So I consider the movie more of a retelling of The Hobbit rather than a movie version. And then I really love Jane Austen's work being put into movies, a lot of movies. The most recent Emma one, I didn't understand. It was supposed to be funny and I didn't find it funny, and all of the heart was totally taken out of it. Like the way that various emotional lines were delivered, they were just delivered in a totally unemotional way, and a lot of the filler part that establishes the characters and their emotions was just skipped over. So like, I don't like the most recent Emma retelling, but all of the other Jane Austen retellings in movie format I really like. And now to go with it, the unpopular opinions book tag. And this was created by Kashan of the Book Archer. So this is basically the negative version of all the questions that I just answered. All the questions I just answered are the positive versions of this. So, a popular book or series that you don't like, and I really don't have any desire to read The Cruel Prince. From the way it's been described to me, it does not sound like it's up my alley, despite being a fantasy. I don't like enemies to lovers. I don't like underwhelming redemption arcs, and it sounds like the redemption arc for The Cruel Prince would not impress me. I have very, very high standards for redemption arcs, and they involve a lot of groveling that I have not been told has happened in that book. You know how Zuko groveled? That's what I like to see. So that's what I'm just not into, and I also have tried A Curse So Dark and Lonely and didn't end up really liking that one very much. And that one was once again was a very much personal taste thing rather than the actual quality of the book. Number 2, a popular series everyone else seems to hate but you love, and I don't usually see series that have a bunch of hate but that I love. I just see ones that have very strong opinions where people either love them or hate them, and but there are usually a lot of people who also love them, like the ACOTAR series. There are a lot of people who really don't like them, but there are also a lot of people who really do like them. Same with all of Sarah J Maas's work, really. The only books I know of where everyone seems to hate them are because there's something problematic in them or with the author. So usually I don't end up liking those series, or I've never read them in the first place. But people also have fairly strong feelings about Howl's Moving Castle, and it's a either you like it or you really don't like it type thing. So I'll pick that one for this question. Then we have a love triangle where the main character ends up with the person you did not want them to end up with. Warn people for spoilers, or an OTP that you don't like. And when I was reading a lot of teen books when I was a teen, this doesn't happen as much anymore, but pretty much every time I read books that had love triangles, they ended up with the wrong person. So I really like best friends to lovers. I don't like enemies to lovers, and I don't like cool, interesting bad boys. I like really sweet boys who have been friends with the main character for a long time, or who are healer types and like to garden. And in several books kind of in a row, that was just ruined for me. The main character ended up with the bad boy and crushed the heart of the sweet boy, and I hated it so much, and I can't even remember the titles because I wiped them from my memory. But that is one reason I, spoilers for the Hunger Games for about 10 seconds, refuse to read the Hunger Games, because I'm pretty sure I would ship her with not the person she gets with. If I shipped her with anyone at all, which I think that I, along with a lot of other people, think she should end up single. That's only one of the reasons I don't want to read it. I also don't like that much gratuitous violence, and I am very picky about dystopian stories. Number 4, a popular book genre you hardly reach for. There used to be a lot of them, but now my reading has widened a lot, so I read now things like romance, even paranormal romance, sci-fi, and even contemporaries, when I used to never read any of those except sci-fi, and even sci-fi I used to be a lot more limited with. So there's not very many genres that I really avoid or hardly reach for. The closest thing would be literary fiction, or anything that even approaches that, like Turtles All the Way Down. Number 5, a popular or beloved character you do not like. I feel like I haven't read enough popular series for this, because most of the books I read, okay, the thing is, I will like anyone the author intends you to like, generally, unless they do something abhorrent, or anything that I specifically dislike. Okay, the main character from Arusha and the End of Time, I think is what it's called. I don't like her because she has a lying problem, and she calls it storytelling and being imaginative, but it's lying, and I really, really don't like lying. But a fair number of people like that series and don't mind the main character, so we'll count that. Number 6, a popular author that you can't seem to get into, John Green. I have zero interest in any of his books. I don't like sad books, and I don't like literary fiction, and those seem to be the two things that he writes. Number 7, a popular book trope you're tired of seeing. Okay, enemies to lovers. I don't like it, except in very specific circumstances, like recently I read a book that did it really well, but I feel like it's done badly a lot of the time. It's done weakly with really weak enemies-ness, and also the overcoming of the enemy's part tends to be done really weakly. So I don't usually like how it's done. But the vast majority of tropes I enjoy quite a bit. They remind me of my childhood. If they are done in a creative way and not used as an excuse to be lazy, pretty much any trope is doable. Number 8, a popular series that you have no interest in reading. I said earlier the Cruel Prince series, but also The Way of Kings, which I said I was looking to get more into Brandon Sanderson, but I think that's one of the ones I'm going to skip. Oh, and Sarah J. Maas's other series, the one about the assassins, I don't think that one's gonna be up my alley. Number 9, the saying goes, the book is always better than the movie, but what movie or TV show adaptation do you prefer more than the book? See, that doesn't usually happen for me because I usually, except in the case of Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and Jane Austen, I usually only consume one or the other, so I don't usually have anything to compare. I guess kind of in the case of Emma, I got kind of bogged down in the book Emma, but that movie is fast-paced enough, despite being slower paced than the newest Emma movie. And it's not inside Emma's head all of the time, and I think being inside Emma's head isn't terribly pleasant. So seeing it in a movie format where you're just seeing her actions and some of her thoughts, but you're also seeing a lot more from the other characters, I think that is a little bit of a better format for Emma. And it also portrays her as being a bit older. And that's usually a nice thing in Jane Austen books because the heroines tend to be really young for getting married. So those are the popular and unpopular opinions book tags. For today's emoji, how about a crown? Since I think a lot of the books I've talked about have involved royalty, I'd love to know your answers to these questions, and like whether you tend to both read a book and see the movie adaptation, or if you tend to do one or the other. And did anyone understand the more recent Emma movie? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!